This is why I can't talk to y'all so-called conscious people, because people like Bro Sanchez over here going off and not listening to anybody, thinking that he's got the logic and the reason of everything. Meanwhile, and on the earth, the whole earth is fucked up. The whole earth is about to blow the fuck up, and we sitting up here arguing about satellites and how they move in fucking space. Should we be just concerned about that, or should we be concerned about everything, right? Now, Bro Sanchez, I'm making this for you because you just hung up on me, right? You're saying that you're using logic, but when I tell you about my satellite tracking app, and I'm going outside to see the satellite being tracked over the sky, and that it gives you the azimuth plane, it gives you everything about where the satellite is and how to track it, and where it is at the position it is in the sky. Correct. So you go outside and you look up and you look at your phone and it tells you it's in the northwest part of the sky, and you look up in the northwest part of the sky and you see on your phone, as it's moving over your phone, you see it moving, right? And then you look at your phone and it's matching the movements from your phone to the movements of the satellite in the sky. Okay? And you're watching it. It's easy. Go download an app, and if your sky is clear tonight, go and look on the app and you'll see it. You'll see it for yourself. This is what I'm saying about everybody who think they know everything and think they can show proof of everything when they don't have the proof to show. This is what I was trying to explain to you about the deception of what they're doing and what they're telling us and how it's not matching up, because they would rather you be unknowing about it. They would rather you be confused about it and arguing about it, so you won't be able to see what the fuck is in front of you and what they're doing to you in front of you. This right here makes me question certain alternative media and certain woke people, who say, "Oh, we conscious over here." Are you really? Or are you sovereign? Are you sovereign? Are you one of the ones who they put out here to purposefully take people off of the search for truth, off of the search for what really actually matters, so that they're on things that don't matter, like stargates? How can you explain the stargate, but you can't explain the satellites and how they can transmit through energy stuff down here for us to see? Data down here for us to interpret. How can you say that? That's my question. When you don't have all the truth, when you don't have all the facts, when you don't have all the knowledge about the full knowledge about their technologies. Bro, calm down. Seriously. Like, for real. You say, you have the knowledge about the stargates and how those work, and how they had them with the Mayans, and how they had them, in the pyramids all over the planet and all this other stuff. And yeah, okay, so you can explain that, but you can't explain the technology of the satellite and how it worked, because you're missing core elements to how the technology works and how they're beaming and transmitting information and data down here through their telecommunications satellites and their LASCO satellites. Okay? You're convoluting everything, bro. You're making it sound like it's logical, but it's not, because you're missing elements, bro. You are. That's what I was talking about the element of deception. The enemy has technology thousands of years fucking ahead of whatever we get down here, ahead of this phone I'm on, ahead of my little remote control, ahead of my little lighter, my other phone, my cordless, headless, wireless, Bluetooth headphones and whatnot, right? Which, if I go out of range about 50 feet, 60 feet, maybe even 100 feet, they don't work no more, right? Right. So, that being said, the thing about the satellites is they have different tiers of them. They have something called a LEO, which is a low Earth orbiting satellite that's connected to a lot of the older technology. The 1G, 2G, 3G, the 4G. All those satellites are connected to those generations of technologies. But when you go and you research what they're doing, they're trying to take us to 10G, 10th generation technology. And they're already halfway there with 5G, right? The 5G that's so powerful that they don't want people to be able to use it because they be in the airports, because the airports say they're afraid that the 5G is going to knock the planes out of the sky. They're asking places like AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint. They're asking all of those companies to hold off for turning on their 5G systems. And there's actual proof of that. There are news articles about it. You can go look it up, that I didn't get to share because you're so stuck on being right about the fucking technology of the satellites that you don't even have the full proof of. If you had the full proof of it, you could fully explain about how it worked instead of trying to debunk the fact that it don't work, because that's not a fact, because they do work. If they didn't work, we wouldn't be able to use what we use wirelessly right now. Now, would we? Because what we use don't just run off of telecommunication towers. There's been plenty of times where people lost usage of their phone from a solar storm, no less. A solar storm. When the solar storm hit the Earth, it hit the satellites. When the satellites are hit, telecommunication satellites included, goes down. Period. You can't call nobody. You can't text nobody. And I'm not talking about a regular thunderstorm going and knocking shit out. I'm talking about a geomagnetic Carrington event, 1859 geostorm hitting the planet. That's what I'm talking. I'm talking about solar flares that cause what's called a geomagnetic storm hitting the planet. When they hit the planet, they hit the satellites. When they hit the satellites, all communications go down, or they get really wonky. It's not because it's affecting the ground wires down here, just the ground wires, and because those are affected. That's what happened during the Carrington event. We didn't have satellites back then. We had telegraph wires. So anything electrical is getting messed up in that event. Okay? Satellites included. All of these wired towers control the ground wires, right? They control the ground wired phones. I didn't even get to talk about the Tucker telephone. The communications is the weapon system. The communication system is the weapon system. Period. I didn't even get to talk about that because we're so stuck on how we can communicate with one another like we are doing right now. Well, like we were doing before you kicked me off, because you kept cutting me off, talking about I was cutting you off, and then taking everything I was saying and trying to make it speculative and trying to make your realm of thinking seem sound or succinct logic, when it's not, because you're missing elements of what they're using in the technology, in the satellites, to make these things work. And because the weapon system is the telecommunication systems. They would rather have you unknowledgeable about how it fully works so that we can do stupid shit like this and in confusion argue with each other. And you in confusion say that satellites ain't real. There's no such thing as a real telecommunication satellite. There's no such thing. That's just like saying there's no such thing as a real laser satellite. When the Navy got laser satellites, not only have them, they did a whole show of how they worked. It was a real live test that they did with the fucking laser satellite from fucking space that they beamed down to a car and blew that bitch up. But you tell me I'm wrong. Go look it up. It's a whole video out there. Go look that shit up. Or don't. Stay in your logic lane, as they say. You're logical about what you're talking about as the knowledge that you have of the technology up to a certain point that you have it. So you go ahead and you stay logical and knowledgeable in your lane of what you know about the technology they have. Now, if you really want to go into it, we can go into Phil Schneider, who got into a fight with reptilians, who lost his finger on his right hand. His forefinger, this finger, cut right the fuck off by an alien. Well, an entity. I don't like saying aliens because there's a difference between an alien and an extraterrestrial. So I like calling them entities. That was under the ground at Dolce Labs in New Mexico. He was at Area 51 when that happened, when they were fighting these non-human entities under the ground. Phil Schneider is dead, but you can look him up. Okay? It's real. We sitting up here arguing about that, and like I mentioned about the sovereign earlier, most people don't even know what a sovereign is. What's a sovereign? I don't know what a sovereign is. It don't sound like it means anything to me. Most people don't know if they're sovereign, quarantine, common, or restricted in this new system that they're trying to bring about. Bill Sweet, Oculum Labs, look it up, that they're trying to bring online. We sitting up here arguing about technologies and whatnot, and if we're missing parts of the technology, the component that we can put it logically in our heads to say that yes, this is real and yes, it works. Even if it don't work how they say it do, we got the knowledge to know the technology that they have that they are not sharing with us to make it work the way they make it work. Even though they don't want us to know, they want us to be in confusion so we can be arguing with each other as if to say that this technology is real or not. I mean, while we sitting up here arguing, you got robots out here having babies. You got the Boston Dynamics robots doing the motherfucking jive shuffle. Okay? You got China with $50 million robots ready to go, ready to hunt our asses down in the motherfucking in the forests of America. We got eater robots that can eat organic material that's just lying in the street and then can reproduce from that. Whatever they eat, they can reproduce asexually. That is how they operate. They eat whatever's on the ground that's biological. They don't want to say people, but yeah, people. And then once they eat people and, process it, they can produce a new robot. You got scientists in the lab making human-like skin to go around a metal structure so that AI could have a body. They doing all this while we sitting up here arguing about the technology that they use for satellites, and how we don't even have all the information about the technology in the satellites and how they can make the satellites work. And they did that on purpose so that we could be just like how we are right now, in confusion, thinking that we know everything and trying to logically put it together to say that this does or does not work how they say it does or does not work, and we don't even have all the information about the technology. Like I said, they got information, they got technology, gadgets and shit hundreds of years past what we fucking know. They went down into the desert sands and every place where a pyramid was that they could find, and they got all that technology, and they took it and hid that technology and reverse engineered it, and now they playing with shit that we don't even know about. But you got all the logic and you got all the understanding, and there is no what if to you, because that whataboutism is for those who are of a superstitious mind. The spookism. Here we go with the spookism shit. Y'all don't know what spookism is because they lied to you and told you that it doesn't exist. And you say, okay, so obviously it must not exist, and you just want me to be afraid about something all the time. Well, what if I told you that everything they told you wasn't real is real? And they told you it wasn't real to make you think that the only boogeyman was them. That there was no greater evil to ever have to actually contend with but them. And you fell for it hook, line, and sinker because you don't want to think about anything worse being out there than them. Something that they're afraid of. You don't want to think about that. You don't want to face that fact. You don't want to have to actually come to that conclusion. Where did all this technology come from if there's not something out there that's worse than them? Like, I don't know, maybe a fallen angel somewhere? Yeah, I had to make this video because you sitting up there, you just wouldn't let me finish. I couldn't finish anything I was saying, Brother Sanchez. If I could have finished, you would understand that you do not have all the necessary knowledge to know the technology. I'm not saying I do either, but what I do know is satellites are real and they really do work. And they're really out there because I sit up there and track. So you tell me what that ball of light going slowly over my house was that I was watching, tracking on an app, telling me this is the SSI going over your house. Okay, and I see this little ball of light going over my house that's matching the movements of the SSI. But I'm supposed to sit up here and say, nah, that's not real. But I've experienced things. When you talk about spookism, it's like you don't fully understand that there's ex machina. There's a spirit inside. There's an invisible you inside of you that you can't see that runs this, that I have too. And guess what? With mine, I've experienced shit that y'all call spookism and whatnot, and fuck shit and this, that, and the third about what the fuck is going on here in the unseen plane that people haven't experienced. People like you. And if you have experienced it, you would understand that there is no such thing as spookism. There's only the battle for you. For where you going after this. And the ones who are doing all that, all they baby raping and all this other stuff that they doing, guess what? they're going to have to leave here too, because one day, soon, there won't be a here. There won't be a this moment here. This earth won't be here. And when I say one day, I mean one day soon. And if you don't believe me, go look at all the freaking scientists. All the scientists say they're mystified, they're baffled, they're stumped about the climate change and how accelerated it is. And it's way worse than what we thought it was. And while people like Mr. Dane Wigington, go look up his channel, go to geoengineeringwatch.org, go look up his website. He's out here 2 decades talking about what the fuck they've been doing, spraying all this type of stuff in the air that they're spraying in the air, that he took a Cessna 17C up into the fucking clouds and collected the shit that they sprayed in the clouds and tested it and found out it was aluminum, barium, strontium, desiccated human blood cells, bug parts, all types of shit that they've been spraying in the fucking air. Have you seen The Crazies? Do you remember that movie, Brother Sanchez? Do you know what happened in that movie? Somebody in the military was spraying in a plane. And somehow that plane got knocked out the sky. It just, I don't know if it got shot down or what. Maybe somebody was pointing a laser at the motherfucking windshield and they couldn't see shit. And they fell out the sky. Either way it goes, it wound up in a waterway in Iowa. Clinton, Iowa. And then what happened? Do you remember? People started going crazy, right? People started attacking each other, trying to kill each other, all because a plane spraying some type of chemical in the sky somehow got knocked out of the sky into a small town. And if you really want to be honest, you talk about stargates. So they got stargates. They got stargate technology. They know how to use it. They know how to reverse engineer it and activate it. And they ain't got the technology to take pictures of us from out of the sky, bro. Come on, Brother Sanchez. How ludicrous do you sound? If they got stargates, they can take your picture without your fucking knowledge. I guarantee you that. Yes, from out of the sky in this closed system called Earth. Oh, moon, the moon, our moon, the one that's the original one that we had, because now they talk about we got 2-3 satellite moons or whatever, but our original moon, it's inside our atmosphere. Did you know that? I bet you didn't. Guess what? There's video evidence out there. If I'm not going to show it here, you can look it up. But there's video evidence out there of the sun passing through clouds too. Wait a minute. The sun passed through a cloud? But that would make it inside our closed system too then, right? Right. So, like I was saying, they're lying. I'm not saying now they tell us that the satellites go 17,000 miles an hour over our heads and this, that, the third. And you can still see it on a tracking app because time moves differently in different spheres of the layers in which you're in. This is another thing that I didn't get to explain, Brother Sanchez. Time moves differently. If there's something out there, there's an article out there about how time has sped up, and I said August is gonna be a blip. I said that in a in my beyond, either beyond the precipice or July 4th precipice video, I said that August is finna be a blip. The only reason why time isn't going faster is because people like me ain't even changed our calendars yet. If you can see that right there. It's 2448 AD, brother. I don't have time to argue about if it's real or if it isn't real. At this point, everything is real to a certain point. Because we're not even in the same dimension we were in 2012. We're not even in the same position in the sky. We were in Sagittarius. How did we go from being in Sagittarius to being in the constellation Orion? We're not located in Sagittarius anymore. And Bluebeard 2011, look him up. He talks about the Mandela effect and whatnot. It goes deep. It goes deeper than you want to keep it surface level and say it doesn't, Brother Sanchez, but you're also one of the ones who says there is no such thing as boogeymen. You're also one of the ones, Brother Sanchez, who says people like me couldn't have remote view to Fukushima in 2011 and experienced the earthquake that caused the tsunami that we're still suffering from. The earth is still suffering from right now because we're going through the China syndrome. Even though it's not the China syndrome, because on the other side of Japan is Del Mar, Spain, or Portugal. One or the other. And they still haven't gotten those spent fuel rods. Those fuel rods that went through the floor, that went down into the fucking ocean, that went down into the ocean floor. The one that is so radioactive up under there and so volatile up under there. The robots they sent down there way back in 2015 to retrieve the fuel rods. Not the spent ones, the active ones. Yeah, the robots died when they went to go get those active fuel rods. How can a robot die? Don't ask me. Ask the ones who made the robot. They died, Brother Sanchez. It's a lot going on here and a lot more than satellites moving in the sky that we have to focus on right now. And I just feel like you're sovereign and you're taking away from the knowledge that needs to be out there, what needs to be said. That's all I feel, brother. You having these debates, and what needs to be said is not being said when it could be being said by so many people, you being one of them included. But instead, you want to argue about satellites and if they're real, when you don't even have all the information about the technology of how the satellite work. The only ones who do are they work in the Jet Propulsion Labs. They work in Boston Dynamics. They work in NASA. Never a straight answer. We had the technology to go to space, and then we destroyed it. Why? Now we're trying to build it back again, even though we were told it's too expensive to build it back by Don Petit. Something's fishy here, and we are all smelling it, but we're allowing them to divide us on where the smell is coming from, because it's coming from all around us, and we need to focus on full spectrum instead of a small focal point. Our scope needs to be full spectrum, not small focal point. Brother Sanchez, thank you for allowing me to be on your call. Thank you for allowing me to try to expand your mind to these things that you're being lied to. You don't have the full information about how it works. But bro, you don't. I'm not saying I do either, but I know we're being lied to. I know we're being deceived. I know it does work. I know they can take a picture of you. And with that, I'm finna let this video go because I'm at my recording limit. I'm finna post it. I'm finna at you. And we can go from there. But yeah, our show wasn't done. You know. Um, so hit me up. That's all I gotta say. Hit me up. I'm not a coward. Let me finish what I gotta say, and we can go from there. Maybe it was too many people on the call. Maybe it just needs to be a one-on-one. Because even the brother who got the information, he's a satellite worker. He worked for the people. He don't even know how they fully work. So let's go. We need to go into the technology of these things, right? To the full technology. We might not even be able to find the full technology. Let's start by researching the low or Earth orbiting satellites first. The ones they're trying to blow out of the sky right now. Because they're trying to make room for their other satellites, for their other generations of technologies and whatnot that they're trying to string up. Brother Sanchez, hit me up.